In the world of sports, strength and resilience are just the opening act. For these 10 openly gay athletes, the game isn't solely about trophies, it's about breaking down barriers with a cheeky smile. Whether they're curving a ball like pros or flipping into gold, these icons are rewriting the rules while stealing our hearts. And trust us, the coming out tale of number 3 is as hilariously raw as it is unforgettable. Welcome to LGBTQ+ vibes, where history meets humor. Colin Grafton, breaking ice and breaking barriers. For years, Colin Grafton commanded attention on the ice with unmatched grace and technical brilliance. A master of spins, powerful lifts, and breathtaking choreography, he built an extraordinary career in both competitive figure skating and world-class ice shows. Audiences marveled at his skill, critics praised his artistry, and his name became synonymous with elegance and excellence. But behind the sparkle of sequins and thunderous ovations, Colin carried a private truth. Like many athletes in image-conscious, traditionally conservative sports, he struggled to balance public expectation with personal identity. In figure skating, where every move is scrutinized, coming out was a risk few dared to take. That changed in 2023 when Colin took the boldest leap of all, not on the ice, but in life. In a quiet yet powerful Instagram post, he came out as gay, marking a deeply personal milestone that quickly became a historic moment for LGBTQ+ visibility in figure skating. The response was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. Fellow skaters and celebrities sent heartfelt messages of support. Fans from around the globe praised his courage and authenticity, hailing him as an inspiration. Colin's announcement wasn't just about identity. It was a declaration of pride, a rallying cry for representation, and a reminder that the strongest performances don't always happen under the spotlight. Beyond the rink, Colin's influence only continues to grow. With his sharp fashion sense and charismatic presence, he has become a standout in pop culture and style. From performing in sold-out shows across Europe and the US, to appearing in luxury fashion campaigns for Hugo Boss and Givenchy, from judging international competitions to turning heads at London Fashion Week and the Met Gala, Colin is showing the world that LGBTQ+ athletes belong everywhere. His story opened doors and inspired countless young skaters to step into their truth. And just like Colin lit up the ice with fearless authenticity, another athlete was about to do the same on the gymnastics floor. Enter Nory, the gymnast who flipped the script on courage. At first glance, Nory is the very definition of a champion, an Olympic gymnast, a World Cup medalist, and a beloved icon in Brazil. He lights up the mat with flawless routines and magnetic charisma, capturing hearts with every flip and smile. But behind the medals and the spotlight, Arthur carried a truth he wasn't ready to share. Growing up in the high-stakes world of elite gymnastics, he faced relentless pressure from coaches, fans, and sponsors, all expecting nothing less than perfection. In this world, personal lives were hidden, silence was survival, and authenticity came with risk. What would happen if they knew? Would everything he built come crashing down? For years, he kept those fears locked away until one quiet moment in 2021 changed everything. With no grand speeches, no press tour, just a single heartfelt Instagram post, Arthur introduced the world to his boyfriend, Juan Otavio Tasso. It was simple, honest, brave, and the world responded with overwhelming love. Comments poured in from fans calling him a hero. Fellow athletes stood up in support. The gymnastics community didn't reject him, they embraced him. In living his truth, Arthur didn't lose anything. He gained everything. Millions were inspired. Young athletes finally saw a reflection of themselves in the spotlight. He showed the world that success and authenticity aren't mutually exclusive. They're a power combo. And beyond the gym, Arthur's star only shines brighter. With over 1.5 million Instagram followers, he's not just a gymnast. He's a cultural force, a brand ambassador for Lacoste and Hugo Boss, a front-row face at Paris Fashion Week, a GQ Brazil cover star with effortless style and bold presence. From the Olympic stage to the Met Gala, Nory is rewriting what it means to be an athlete today. Unapologetically bold, undeniably stylish, and courageously himself. His decision to come out wasn't just a personal victory. It was a game-changing moment for LGBTQ+ athletes across Latin America. Because true champions aren't only measured by medals, they're measured by the lives they inspire. And with Paris 2024 on the horizon, the world is watching again. Josh Cavalo, the footballer who defied all odds. Football is a sport of passion, strength, and unshakable team spirit. But for decades, there was one thing missing from the world's most popular game: representation. While LGBTQ+ athletes were finding their place in many sports, men's football remained one of the hardest arenas for someone to live openly. That changed when Josh Cavalo stepped onto the pitch, not just as a skilled midfielder, but as a trailblazer, rewriting the narrative. From a young age, Josh knew he was different. As his career took off, playing for some of Australia's top clubs, he found himself locked in a quiet battle behind the scenes. The fear of losing everything, his teammates, his career, and the game he loved, weighed heavily. With no openly gay footballers to look up to, the silence felt suffocating. But after years of hiding, Josh made a choice. He wouldn't let fear dictate his life any longer. In October 2021, he broke that silence with a powerful Instagram post. "I'm a footballer, and I'm proud to be gay." It was a historic moment. No male player, still active at the top level, had ever come out before. The response was overwhelming. Icons like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Gerard Pique, and Antoine Griezmann showed support. Clubs from Manchester United to Barcelona stood with him. For once, football wasn't divided by rivalry, it was united by respect. Since then, Josh has become a global symbol of hope, named one of Time magazine's most influential athletes, partnering with brands like Adidas and Nike, and gracing the pages of GQ, Vogue, and Forbes. On and off the field, he's proving that football truly is for everyone. Ralf Schumacher, the racing icon, who drove his own path in the high-octane world of Formula One, speed is everything, but so is reputation. For decades, motorsports offered little to no LGBTQ+ representation, and the idea of an openly gay driver felt nearly impossible. That's why Ralf Schumacher's journey is so groundbreaking, not just because of his legendary career on the track, but because of his fearless embrace of authenticity in one of the most hyper-masculine sports on earth. As the younger brother of F1 legend Michael Schumacher, Ralf could have stayed in the shadows. Instead, he chose to forge his own path, rising through karting competitions and racing all the way to the top tiers of Formula One. Ralf became a six-time Grand Prix winner, driving for Jordan, Williams, and Toyota between 1997 and 2007. At his peak, he was one of the highest-paid drivers in the sport. After retiring from racing, he seamlessly transitioned into motorsport management, earning success beyond the track. But throughout his career, there was a part of himself the world never saw. For years, rumors swirled about Ralf's personal life, but he stayed silent. Then, in recent years, he chose to speak his truth, openly discussing his relationships with men and becoming one of the first high-profile F1 figures to address his sexuality publicly. In doing so, he challenged the outdated idea that racing is only for so-called macho men. Even after stepping away from professional racing, Ralf continues to live life in the fast lane. He runs a top-tier racing academy, attends elite events, and is often seen behind the wheel of luxury supercars. More importantly, he uses his platform to advocate for greater diversity and LGBTQ+ visibility in motorsports. His journey is proof that speed, talent, and success don't depend on fitting into a stereotype. Ralf Schumacher is shattering the old-school norms of Formula One and showing the world that being true to yourself doesn't slow you down, it propels you forward. Prokop, the hockey trailblazer, who shattered the ice ceiling. Hockey has always been a game of grit, toughness, and brotherhood. But for years, it was also one of the least inclusive spaces for LGBTQ+ athletes. That narrative shifted in a powerful way in 2021, when Prokop made history as the first openly gay player under an NHL contract. At just 19 years old, he took a leap no other professional hockey player had dared to take. And in doing so, he didn't just make headlines, he made a difference. Growing up in Canada, Luke dreamed of the NHL from the moment he laced up his first pair of skates. With relentless dedication, he excelled in junior leagues and earned a contract with the Nashville Predators. But while his game was fierce, behind the scenes he carried a heavy weight. A secret that constantly made him question if being himself could cost him everything. his career, his locker room, his dream. Then came July 2021, when Luke broke the silence. In a heartfelt social media post, he proudly came out as gay. The hockey world held its breath and then stood up in support. From NHL teams to fellow players to fans across the globe, Luke was met with overwhelming love and admiration. Since that historic moment, Luke Prokop hasn't slowed down. Still a rising force on the ice, he continues to prove that authenticity and athleticism go hand in hand. Signed by the Predators with hopes of cracking the NHL roster, he's also become a powerful voice for inclusion. Featured in GQ, Sports Illustrated, and honored at events like the ESPYs and NHL All-Star Week. Luke is more than a defenseman, he's a game changer. A young man who dared to be himself in one of the toughest sports on earth, and in doing so, gave courage to countless others. His journey is far from over, but one thing is clear. He's not just skating for goals, he's skating for a future where no athlete has to hide who they are. Ryan Russell, the NFL powerhouse who tackled truth with pride. In the unforgiving world of American football, where strength, grit, and hypermasculinity dominate the field, vulnerability isn't often part of the playbook. But in 2019, Ryan Russell changed that. The former NFL defensive end made headlines by coming out as bisexual, becoming one of the rare players in league history to live openly while still actively pursuing his career. It was a moment that reverberated far beyond the field. Ryan didn't just make a statement, he made a stand. In a sport that's long been resistant to LGBTQ+ visibility, he showed that honesty doesn't weaken you, it makes you unstoppable. Ryan's journey to that moment wasn't easy. Drafted in 2015, he played for powerhouse teams like the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, building a reputation for speed, resilience, and determination. But while he was making tackles on the field, he was fighting a deeper battle off of it. One of silence, fear, and hiding. He knew that revealing his truth might cost him opportunities, respect, even his future in the game he loved. But he also knew that living inauthentically was costing him something far greater, his peace. Through a powerful essay published by ESPN, he opened up to the world, not with theatrics, but with honesty. It was a turning point not just for him, but for countless young athletes watching in the shadows. Beyond football, Ryan Russell has emerged as a powerful figure of change. With a physique worthy of a magazine cover, smooth brown skin that radiates strength, and piercing eyes filled with depth, he's been hailed as one of the most attractive athletes of our time. But it's his words, his voice, and his advocacy that leave the deepest impression. As a writer, speaker, and champion for LGBTQ+ inclusion in sports, Ryan is proving that true power lies in living authentically. He's not just redefining what it means to be a football player, he's redefining what it means to be fearless. Few names in the world of sports command attention quite like Tom Daley. With his dazzling smile, sculpted physique, and undeniable stage presence, he's more than just an Olympic champion, he's a global icon. Representing Great Britain in the sport of diving since his early teens, Tom has grown up in the spotlight, captivating audiences with every twist and turn from the high board. But his story isn't just about medals. It's about courage, authenticity, and rewriting what it means to be a champion in today's world. In 2013, at the height of his fame, Tom Daley made a decision that would change lives beyond his own. He came out as gay in a heartfelt YouTube video. It wasn't a press release or a carefully curated announcement. It was raw, honest, and deeply human. His words, "I'm dating a guy and I couldn't be happier," echoed around the globe and marked a pivotal moment in sports history. At just 19, Tom stepped into his truth with grace, becoming one of the most visible LGBTQ+ athletes in the world. The response was powerful. Fans, fellow athletes, and public figures alike rallied around him. In a sport where perfection is expected, Tom proved that being real is the most powerful performance of all. Since then, Tom's life has been a celebration of authenticity. He found love with Oscar-winning screenwriter Dustin Lance Black, and together, they've built a life full of joy, resilience, and advocacy. Off the diving board, Tom is also a fashion-forward trendsetter, featured in GQ, Vogue, and major campaigns around the world. He's used his platform to speak out on LGBTQ+ rights, mental health, and inclusion in sports. Whether he's winning Olympic gold or knitting in the stands between events, Tom Daley is redefining masculinity, one stitch and one dive at a time. In a sport that moves faster than the eye can follow, Blake Skjellerup made the bold choice to slow down and speak up. Hailing from New Zealand, Blake rose to international prominence as a short-track speed skater, racing at breakneck speeds and representing his country at the highest level, including the 2010 Winter Olympics. But beneath the helmet and uniform was a man carrying a truth far more weighty than any competition. He was gay, and no one knew. For years, Blake stayed quiet, fearing that being open about his identity could derail the career he'd fought so hard to build. That changed in 2010, shortly after the Vancouver Games. With courage in his voice and pride in his heart, Blake came out publicly, becoming one of the first Olympians to do so while still actively competing. His announcement sent ripples through the conservative world of winter sports, where LGBTQ+ representation was nearly non-existent. But Blake didn't waver. He spoke with honesty, with purpose, and with a quiet intensity that resonated around the world. He wasn't just skating for medals anymore. He was skating for visibility, for hope, for the countless young athletes watching in silence. Since coming out, Blake has used his platform to become a powerful advocate for LGBTQ+ inclusion in sports. Whether he's speaking at international conferences, sharing his story in the media, or showing up as his authentic self in every space he enters, Blake continues to lead by example. His chiseled look, sharp features, and piercing gaze might turn heads, but it's his fearlessness that truly defines him. More than just a skater, Blake Skjellerup is a pioneer, proving that even in the fastest sport on ice, there's always time to stand up for who you are. Nassib, the NFL star who broke the silence. In the brutal, bruising world of American football, courage is often measured in tackles and touchdowns. But in 2021, Nassib showed the world a different kind of bravery, one that couldn't be captured on the stat sheet. A standout defensive end in the NFL, Carl made history when he came out as gay, becoming the first active NFL player to do so. The announcement came through a simple Instagram video, calm and composed, but its impact was seismic. In a league where locker room culture has long been steeped in silence around LGBTQ+ identity, Carl's truth hit like a thunderclap. Carl had built a solid career across multiple teams, including the Cleveland Browns, Las Vegas Raiders, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Known for his power, discipline, and unrelenting drive on the field, he had earned respect in one of the most competitive and masculine spaces in American sports. But for years, he carried the weight of secrecy, questioning whether being open about who he was would jeopardize everything he'd worked for. With one courageous video, Carl dropped the mask and embraced the world as his full self. The response was overwhelming. Messages of support poured in from fellow players, teams, celebrities, and fans alike. Since that moment, Carl hasn't looked back. His jersey became a top seller overnight. He's been featured in Time, GQ, and countless sports media outlets, not just for his play, but for his impact. Off the field, he launched a donation to the Trevor Project, helping support LGBTQ+ youth in crisis. He's proven that strength and softness can coexist, that masculinity doesn't require hiding, and that an NFL career can thrive in the light of truth. Nassib didn't just make NFL history, he redefined what a football hero looks like in the modern era. When Anton Jenkins took the Olympic diving stage in Tokyo, he wasn't just representing New Zealand, he was representing a breakthrough. As the first openly gay Kiwi male Olympian, Anton didn't just dive into the water, he dove into history. With graceful lines, flawless entries, and an undeniable presence, he became a standout in the sport and a beacon for queer athletes across the globe. But behind the confidence was a young man who had to overcome years of doubt, pressure, and cultural silence to finally stand tall. Born and raised in Wellington, Anton grew up balancing his Maori heritage, athletic ambition, and a growing awareness of his identity. Diving became his outlet, his sanctuary, and eventually his path to the world stage. But for years he kept his sexuality hidden, afraid it might change how others saw him, or worse, limit his opportunities. That fear vanished when he chose to live openly. embracing who he was with the same strength and grace he brought to every dive. His coming out wasn't announced with fanfare, it was embodied in his existence, unapologetic and powerful. Since then, Anton has continued to inspire. With his athletic build, striking features, and magnetic energy, he's been featured in magazines and campaigns celebrating both sport and identity. More importantly, he's become a role model, not just for LGBTQ+ athletes, but for young people everywhere who are learning to love themselves fully. Whether he's launching off a 10-meter platform or using his voice to champion diversity in sports, Anton Jenkins proves that pride and performance don't just coexist, they elevate each other. He's not just making waves in the pool, he's changing the tide. For breaking records and breaking barriers, these 10 athletes are shaping the future of LGBTQ+ sports. From gymnastics to motorsports, from Olympic gold to viral moments, they're not just winning, they're rewriting history. Their stories prove that authenticity and excellence go hand in hand. And why does it matter? Because representation saves lives. Every time a gay athlete steps up, they show the world that you can be proud, powerful, and at the top of your game. So who's next? Drop your favorite rising LGBTQ+ athlete in the comments. And if this list inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. More stories, more icons, more pride, coming soon.